are you doing? We're going to be having a conversation around the Center for Migration Studies from the University of Ghana, what they do, some of the successes that they've chalked. And of course, they are celebrating 20 years in existence, and congratulations to all of them. And they're going to be telling us some of the activities that have been slated for the 20th anniversary. And in studio, we have Professor Leander Kandelige. He's director and chair of the anniversary. Good morning, Prof. Welcome to our show. And the beautiful Professor Mary Watma Setrana. She's director for the Center for Migration Studies, University of Ghana. Good morning. This one is Prof Squared. Welcome to our show.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Thank you. We are doing well.
Right. I'll start with you, Prof. Satrana. You have been at our table before, so take us back. What does the Center for Migration, what does it stand for?
Yeah, the Center for Migration Studies, so we simply call ourselves CMS. Okay. And so we started the center in 2006, and some of us, I joined in 2014. I'm sure Leander will also talk about when he also joined. And so we celebrated 10 years, and now we are 20 years. Our core mandates are teaching. So we do run postgraduate programs, masters and PhD in migration studies. And we also do a lot of research. So we have different ranges of research on migration, and we partner with international corporations and development partners. So for instance, the EU, the European Union, is one of our funders, and we have the Canadian government through the Social Science and Humanities Council Research. And we have other funders. So research is one of our core mandates. We research on security perceptions on migration, trafficking, issues of gender and migration, issues of diaspora, I mean a whole range of issues. Another thing is we do a lot of policies also. And so we are also known as a center for writing policies. Particularly in Ghana, all the migration policies were made by us. And so we have the National Migration Policy, the National Labor Migration Policy, the Diaspora Policy. These are policies that were written together with stakeholders by the Center for Migration Studies.
Okay, great. So you've been part of this organization since 2014?
Yes.
Okay, so which research would stand out for you through all your years of being there? Which would you say stands out for you?
I think a range of researches stand out for me, but perhaps I will mention two.
Okay, great.
One of them is the contribution of immigrants to development of countries. I think that's something we don't talk about. We always talk about migrants as people coming in to take our resources. But the reverse, which is also migrants contributing to employment, creating factories and industries that produce certain goods and services which may not be readily available to the citizens. So for instance, pharmaceutical companies, for instance, the tech industry. These are industries that immigrants are investing in Ghana. The second one I'll talk about is the Fulani. Okay. So the headsmen, the Fulani group, these are people that are seen mostly in quotes labeled.
Negative.
Yes, with negative connotations. But I mean, working on that for a period of time, I would say that this has also changed the perceptions, not only of me, but also my readers, on how the situation of Fulani headsmen and even the Fulani general are looking at in Ghana.
Okay. January 2026, what's the state of the Fulani group?
January 2026.
Yeah.
What's
the state?
For some time now, what we've been talking about is the status of headsmen. So many people see headsmen as not part of Ghanaians. I mean, they are not Ghanaians and all that. Yeah, we can discuss it in various ways. But I think what is significant is that we have second, third generation that are born in Ghana and who cannot trace their origins to any other country apart from Ghana. But if you look at our citizenship laws, it also exempts them from being citizens because it demands certain rights which they may not have. For instance, going to bring, I think because our citizenship is by blood, you may need your grandfather's birth certificate, which you may not have. And so it makes you stateless. And so these are things that we can look at from the policy angle. And I think one of my papers look at, even without state consensus,
Yeah.
they are creating their own citizenship by belonging, through marriage, by educating themselves. And so these are ways that are already ongoing, which we can tap into to make sure that they are included.
Right. This conversation, we should table it for another
That's
day.
right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Prof, apologies for not bringing you into the conversation, but Mary and I go way back when it comes to migration matters. Prof, what would you say stands out for you when it comes to policy support?
Right. So thank you very much.
Yes, again.
The Center for Migration Studies has really played a leading role when it comes to helping with the development of policies in the country, but also in other African countries.
Right.
And we work closely with broader institutions like the ECOWAS, for instance, and also the AU. So the AU, as an example, the center supported the AU to come out with guidelines on return, readmission, and reintegration, for instance, because we've realized that most of our citizens get returned to the country, to the different countries on the continent, and sometimes the conditions are a bit inhumane. So we want a standardized way of respecting the rights of migrants if they have to be brought back to their home country. Okay, so that's just one example of something that the center has done. Then we have the issue of labor migration. We want our citizens to be able to go elsewhere to exchange their labor for resources and then send remittances back. And we know that a good number of our citizens go to the Gulf states.
Yes.
They are getting a lot from it, but then we also have incidents of abuse.
I think we have lots of
A
incidents
lot
of
of
abuse.
incidents
Lots.
of abuse,
Yeah.
yes. So this is an area that is really dear to our heart. We want to make sure that all migrants' rights are protected under the national law, but also international laws. So again, we are working with the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment to come out with a code of conduct for the private employment agencies who tend to facilitate the recruitment of these labor migrants to the different countries, but also to sign labor agreements, bilateral labor agreements between Ghana and the different destination countries that they tend to go to, like Saudi Arabia and then the other Gulf countries, to make sure that they respect our citizens when they are there exchanging their labor for remuneration. So these are a few of the things that we also do in terms of protecting the rights of people who choose to move.
Okay, not to veer off it, but it's still in the same area.
Yeah.
Usually when we hear of these incidents of Ghanaians being abused, especially in Saudi, most of the victims claim that there's no government institution or a Ghanaian, known institution to go to. And we do find a lot of our people going into Saudi. So what's the deal there? What's really happening?
So the Labor Department under the ministry is directly responsible for the recruitment of persons for placement both within the country and in other countries.
Okay.
So they have the ultimate responsibility to guarantee the rights of migrants when they choose to move. Now, some of them are recruited by unregistered and unlicensed recruitment agencies. So it then means that the government formally doesn't even know that these persons have traveled to the Gulf. And that's where it becomes tricky. Because for those who are registered and then licensed, we have their details, they recruit through a formal way, and they make available information, contact information. In case you get into difficulty, you can contact a labor officer in Ghana or our embassy in the appropriate country for redress. And we know that the likes of IOM, they are playing a key role when it comes to assisting Ghana in dealing with some of these incidents. So the migrants are able to reach out to an IOM office and report. Sometimes they report to the police station in the country, but because of the issue of language, they cannot speak the required language. So it's very easy for an employer to come and then create the impression that the vulnerable migrant worker is rather the problem. Sometimes they accuse them of theft. Sometimes they accuse them of flirting with their spouses and the rest of them. So they make excuses to justify the abuse that they are meting out to these individuals.
Right.
But an interesting area that I think we need to look at as a country is also how we train our labor migrants ahead of their migration and the orientation, the pre-departure orientation that we provide for them, so that they know their rights, they know what is expected of them when they arrive in the country, they know the culture of the country, they know the language, the do's and don'ts.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, we carried out a research, and then one returned migrant from the Gulf states was even surprised that in Saudi Arabia there are very few churches, or there are no churches. Now, if there was a proper orientation, the person should have known that ahead of their travel.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so it's quite telling that the person didn't even know that it's a Muslim country.
Islamic country.
Yes.
Right. Okay, let's talk about some of the challenges over the past 20 years and how they have been overcome. Oh, I like that. You want to start?
Well, it's interesting. I have to laugh at that. Well, so where is migration and all this when it comes to governments? Because we work with African Union, so some of the things we say are not only related to Ghana. I think generally countries would say that Ghana is doing well, but from where we sit as scholars, we would think that we are thinking that governments, the will to endorse migration as a development project is still minimal. So the willingness to push migration agenda, and so most of our research is
why do you think there's a holdback? What's that holdback? What's causing that?
well, I can explain why it is why I say that. So let me do that first, and then maybe. So most of our researchers are funded from elsewhere. We have to compete for funding, European funding, Canadian funding with colleagues in order to get it. So you hardly find governments themselves producing money for us to give them proper data. So that's one of the challenges. So we try because we have resilience over years. So we are able to push the agenda of the country to let the country own. But I think it makes a difference if the government himself or herself or itself invest money into it. But again, the other challenge, even until now, is what is migration? Different people describing migration different ways. We need to have a harmonization on what migration is. Different departments are describing migration differently, and that makes the work difficult. So if you want to compare data across the region or even across countries, it's difficult because we are not investing money into what migration is and what governments need to do when it comes to migration. So, funding is an issue, but again, the main issue there is also the willingness to fund data and to fund research, which can help us address issues of data, issues of harmonization, issues of inconsistencies and incoherencies in policies.
Okay, touching on harmonization, which different ways do people interpret or different departments interpret migration? And what's the standard interpretation of migration then?
Well, it's a good question. So what is migration? So when you look, I've worked with different, so as my colleague and also the center. So we've worked with countries like Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia. They all have different means of migration. So recently we did a data where we are asking countries, do you collect data on migration? Everybody says yes. But then when it starts trickling in, they rather go to UNDASA to download their data and give it to us. And then the other point is you ask them, some are saying immigrants are migrants. Immigrants are not migrants. When I say immigrants, people who have entered into their country. So they don't consider their own people who have moved out as migrants. They don't consider internal migrants, people moving from rural to urban, maybe as a different category of migrants. Then they have things like permanent stay and all that. But do we have a common definition? We are all relying on the UN agencies for definition, which sometimes don't speak to the issues on the continent. So we see Africa as we are unique in our composition, and so our definitions definitely should be unique. And so we need to do more in trying to define things that define our lives. Right. And that is where I believe the challenge is.
And okay, so in the next 5 years, do you think realistically we could have combated this challenge? Would it work?
So I think one of the themes, so this comes back to the theme of the conference we are the anniversary.
Yes.
So our latter part, we said celebrating migration scholarships, partnerships, and the future of mobility. So what we want to gain out of this 1 year is to also look at innovative ways of generating better information, innovative information, and sustainable information. How do we do that? We need to talk about how to define migration in our context, and not only in the African context, but one that also resonates on the international platform. And so this is something that is actually why we push that agenda of the future of mobility, and perhaps that leads us to our high-level dialogue tomorrow. And so we are bringing the Bank of Ghana in, we are bringing in the International Organization for Migration, that's the leading UN agency on migration. We are bringing in a private practitioner who is also a legal practitioner, and we are also coming in with the Ghana Immigration Service. And so we are trying to discuss different aspects. So our colleague from IOM was talking about diaspora. Immigration, we're talking about border technology issues. And then our private sector would hit us hard on what we need to do to make sure that migration improves the lives of people.
Okay.
And so these diverse ways, we are hoping that there are policy dialogues that can help us generate innovative and sustainable ways of studying migration going forward.
Okay. And now we come to the activities that have been lined up for the 20th anniversary. Prof. Kandelije, you coming here?
Yes, so thank you very much for that. I had the privilege of serving as the chair for the planning committee. So as mentioned by my colleague, Professor Setrana, tomorrow we will have the formal launch of the year-long celebrations. And for the launch, we have some big shots who are gracing the occasion to support us. So starting with our own Vice Chancellor, she's going to serve as the chair for the function. But then we have the Minister of the Interior going to be the special guest of honor who will assist us in launching the year-long celebration. We have a number of partners over the years. Over the past 20 years, we have collaborated with a number of institutions on the continent, but also in Europe and then North America mainly. And these institutions are eager to showcase what we have become, their investment in us, the partnership that we have had with them. So we'll have our colleagues also joining. Then the high-level dialogue, policy dialogue that my colleague alluded to, that's going to be something that I will encourage everyone to look out for, because we have a powerful panel that is going to look at different aspects of migration. And it's going to be a celebratory kind of event where we discuss, we are not ashamed of our successes. We want to blow our horn a bit. And we hope that Ghanaians will excuse us for being proud of what we have achieved within the short time frame. And once that is over, we are going to continue with an international conference, a 3-day international conference. And again, we have participants from a variety of countries who are going to take part in that. And we think that it is important to also build the capacity of early career academics. So we have a mentoring program at the tail end of the conference, where we'll give the younger academics the opportunity to interface with the more seasoned academics to bounce off ideas, get some very good points on how to navigate the field of academia. This is just one. In April, we'll have an international conference again on a different theme, and then we'll climax everything in November of this year.
Well, it's a year-long event, so
yeah,
we're celebrating, and you guys deserve your flowers.
Thank you.
Prof. Setrana, final words as we head out of here.
Yeah, so I would like to use this opportunity to invite everyone. Maybe you've been hearing migration, you've been hearing traveling, you've been hearing movement. Please, it's all about Center for Migration Studies. We are inviting you tomorrow to come and learn about migration, come and discuss about people who talk about migration, come and meet our partners, and especially the launch. Don't miss it, and don't miss the dialogue, the high-level dialogue.
When is the launch happening? What time?
Good.
And can people catch it online?
Okay.
Yes.
You put me on spot on that one, eh? Okay, so tomorrow it is 9 o'clock. We have exhibition going on. We want to show the work of students, the thesis they've been doing Our partners will be around to show some of the works they've been doing. We have posters, our papers. We'll be showing some of the community engagement things we've been doing. Okay. And the program starts at 9:30. You come and meet the traditional dancers. They're welcoming you. And so when we start at 9:30, then we roll through the 9:30. And interestingly, we will close with the live band, which is 5 o'clock. So after we have stressed ourselves through the day, at 5 o'clock, we'll be having a live band from the Ghana Immigration Service. Please, you can come and rest with us. Come and dance, shake yourself off, and then the following day we begin again.
Nice, nice. Where is it happening?
It's happening University of Ghana, the ISE Conference Building. So when you get to University of Ghana, it's just behind the new law faculty. You just ask of the ISE conference building. Please, everything is happening there, including the live band dance.
That's very important.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
At the end of the long day, you simmer down. Final words, Prof. Kandilige.
Yes, so thank you very much. I think we have come a long way. As a center, we have done our bit to support the country and then the continent. And we are asking all our partners to take this opportunity to celebrate with us. And we are looking forward to the next 20 years. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations to you and your team. This is a year-long celebration. It begins tomorrow, 9 a.m., University of Ghana, ISE Conference Room, and it includes a high policy dialogue, and a 3-day international conference, and also a mentoring program. We've been having conversations around the 20th anniversary of the Center for Migration Studies, CMS, University of Ghana. And in studio, we've had Professor Mary Boatema Setrana. She's Director for Center for Migration Studies, and also Professor Leander Kandilige is Director and also Chair of the anniversary. Thank you so much for coming. We are wishing you success on your anniversary celebrations. We are in studio. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the social media.